You are listening to The Patient Approach. In our second and final part of our dinner party episode, Milo, Moose and Joe settle on their final 6 guests.
It's a femoral style, melancholy town where we never smile. And all I wanna hear is a message beep. But you say gotta kiss me cause I don't get sleep, no.
So basically he was a philosopher, but in many ways he was also just like he was what's known as an aesthete. And an aesthete is somebody who basically just pursues basically it's just like a hedonist. They just watch loads of things, drink loads of things, eat loads of food, and just enjoy like the pleasurable things in life.
Okay.
And on that level, he'd probably be great to have at a party. He was very funny, very humorous.
Definitely, he's I know
very intelligent.
I know Albert Camus on my list. He took a lot of inspiration from Kierkegaard.
Yeah.
So no, I've had a look at that, Joe. Is there anyone on that list that jumps out at you?
I don't think we discussed.
Oh yeah, I've got.
Oh, Broderick.
Yeah, I've got 2 more. So
no,
Dostoevsky and Broderick.
Dostoevsky.
Yeah, so I'll talk about those 2 quickly. Yeah. Dostoevsky, again similar to Kierkegaard. They were a couple of 50, 60 years apart from each other, I think. But again, similar to Kierkegaard, Dostoevsky helped develop existentialism, where, as I said, philosophy is about real life issues, dealing with real life. But this guy had a crazy fucking life.
Oh, yeah.
His dad was allegedly, this was a rumor, but his dad was do you know what a serf is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So his dad was allegedly. Do you know what a serf is? Basically, a serf is basically like a paid slave.
Oh. Okay.
So you're a slave, but you get given a wage. And his dad owned serfs.
Kind of similar to a servant, then.
Kind of. The difference is that servants can leave. Serfs can't leave.
So why were they paid then with that?
So they're basically given a salary. But
So it's
they were
effectively
owned.
like the government allowed it.
Yeah, yeah.
So what could they do with that salary though?
They would pretty much get drunk if Russian literature. If Russian literature is anything to go by, they pretty much just get drunk.
Yeah.
And I guess there's the opportunity. I think serfs. I'm not sure, but I think serfs could buy out their serfdom. So if they were clever with their money, if they worked their way up, they could.
Actually, yeah.
So serfs is almost like this is at a time of history when human rights is becoming a thing, and people are trying to move from.
And now you said that, actually, I hadn't heard of serfs, but I had heard of serfdom before. I'm sure that's something on the internet.
Something. What do you mean by something?
I don't quite know what it is.
But yeah, it's a whole act of owning a slave. Serfdom is the.
Is that what that means? Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I've heard
what websites have you been looking at, Joe?
The
act of owning a slave.
And there is Facebook.
And Pornhub.
And yeah. Alright, so basically what I'll say there is Dostoevsky's dad owned serfs. There's a rumour that serfs killed his dad because his dad was quite a brutal, tough man. I think he just died of a heart attack, but he was very hard on the serfs. And so what happened is Dostoevsky went from being kind of upper middle class to being quite poor. He had a gambling problem and he had to flee his debtors. There's a hilarious story where when he was writing Crime and Punishment, he gambled away the rights to the novel. And if he didn't finish, basically he had a contract where if he didn't write a certain amount of books by a deadline, he would lose the rights to all his novels because he gambled it away. Shall I tell you how he got out of that? He wrote a book called The Gambler about a man who gambles, and he got it published, and then he kept the rights to his novel.
Wow.
And he did that while he was writing Crime and Punishment. It's a short book called The Gambler.
Living life on the edge.
Yeah. He had to flee the country several times. He lived across Europe.
He was exiled apparently at one point.
He was. Also, he had a experience where he was part of a group of writers, and they were arrested for their views because they were considered controversial, and he had a fake execution. So they round him up. They were going to shoot him, and then they didn't.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
So basically Dostoevsky's had a fucking nuts life. He's had a crazy life.
And knocking at the door right now.
Yeah.
The impatient approach you guys have, that one follower that's listening to your stuff right now, he's reported us to you.
Yeah.
Reported you to us. And you're going to be executed.
That's what happened. And all the while he also had a very ongoing relationship with this lady who basically just wasn't in love with him back, and it's influenced a lot of what he's done. But he's again just a very passionate person, a very emotional person, and just again had an absolutely crazy life.
I feel like because you got two philosophers on your list, really,
Yeah,
don't
pretty
you?
much. Yeah.
I feel like he then is stand out more to me.
Probably.
I kind of know. What's it called? Justin Broderick. He's a musician. What band was it?
He
It's
Godflesh.
Godflesh.
Yeah. So I just go over Broderick quickly. Broderick was in a metal band called Godflesh in the 80s, and they've come back again recently. They basically created a whole genre of music called industrial metal. He grew up in a council house. Started music when he was like 16, and pretty much been a musician ever since. He's toured the world. He's created several subgenres.
Yeah.
He's in the Guinness World Record for the shortest song ever, which is like 2 seconds. It's 1 second. It's 1 second long. It's like a hardcore metal song. He created it when he was like 16.
That's just a noise.
No, that's it. You just did it. That's it.
Oh, I love
it.
that song, man.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Now I just sung it. I recognise it.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Like, and he's created so many different genres of music. He's had like a lot of not the most insane experiences in his life, but he's toured the world. He's toured different countries. He's, as I said, done so much, and it's just the fact that when you hear him, he's a very down to earth guy. He's got very interesting views on things. He likes to party as well. Maybe not as much as other people. Maybe not as much as Keith Moon, but
yeah. Okay, so I feel like I've made a decision on your list because I feel like of my list, and obviously Genghis Khan will be quite aggressive. We've already got Scorsese, Master Chief again. He'd be a great guest, but he's not got that much personality, so I'm not going to argue him for him too much. But what's it called? I feel like my next one I'd argue more is Keith Moon, and I feel like I shouldn't have too many musicians. So I feel like I'd personally choose Keith Moon over Justin Broderick. No. But I feel like if you're Dostoevsky, I feel like he'd be the most interesting, so I argue my case for him on that one.
Yeah, I've read his book. Can't remember what it's called.
Naturally Underground.
Yeah, Naturally Underground, and also the other one, The Double, which is part of the same book.
Yeah.
that I bought, and very, very real, very realistic view on life. And
the Double that's probably uneducated, but. Is that the same thing that's recently made into a film by what's his name?
Richard Ayoade, was it?
Richard Ayoade.
Yeah, that's it. I haven't seen it, but that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
That was a good film, actually.
Yeah, I haven't. Is it worth watching?
I'm just have him then.
I never looked at it.
Yeah. Okay, I'd go for Dostoevsky, but I'd also like to see Dave Chappelle there. A guy that's very real, very in his comedic style, is just very funny, very realistic, very honest, and that's something I like to see. And Henry Rollins as well. So I've watched a few of his articles. I've read a few of his articles, watched a few of his videos, including there's a stand-up, but it turned to be an inspirational speech, and that was really good. But
see, I was thinking about Henry Rollins, but then I remember because I've not watched the later episodes of Sons of Anarchy, but I watched the first 2 series.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty big prick.
He's a bellend, yeah. So he's a racist.
I don't really want a racist at my party.
Yeah, and to be fair, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would actually go for Fyodor Dostoevsky as well.
So we've got, at the moment, 3 spaces filled and 3 corpses sitting downstairs as we speak.
Yeah.
Bill Hicks, Scorsese.
Scorsese's
still alive, yeah. Scorsese's scared shitless. He's been plucked out of his mansion and sitting next to 2 decomposing bodies. So we've got Hicks, Scorsese, Dostoevsky. Now this is where it gets tricky. This is where we've got to.
Now I'm thinking of Scorsese. I kind of wish I chose a gangster from the 1920s.
What's a gangster who was in one of his films rather than?
Yeah, no, there's what's that big famous gangster?
Al Capone.
Al Capone, Valentine's Day Massacre. Kind of wishing I'd put him in it now. But then my list would just comprise of psychopaths.
Yeah, it would be. It's going from comedians to psychopaths. or rock stars.
To be fair, on that note, Machine Gun Kelly would be a fantastic one.
Yeah.
A man that was on the run from the police for 5-10 years. Who's the couple that the famous couple,
Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah, I've done a lot of reading up on that, and that's a crazy story as well. So I think
there was this guy, and I can't remember his name, so it's not helpful, who basically robbed banks in order to support the civil rights movement.
Oh really?
Yeah, he did it like for a few years. He robbed banks and gave the money to the civil rights movement, and he was only recently discovered who it was, like couple of years ago.
a real life Robin Hood.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he just did it. He started thinking about it. He planned it. He broke into a jewelry store at night, took the jewels, fled, did it a few more times.
Fair play to him.
And
Had a role in history, like
yeah.
Obviously not like chasing history and chasing fame with it. He's really been found out. But so looking at these lists, there's two here that I can sort of pair together, and that's Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan.
Yeah, I think we need one of those two.
What, Genghis and...
Maybe not one of these two, but I think it would be to remove him from the list. I think we can sort of like...
What I find interesting about gingers is that Oggy had gingers. I wasn't even saying gingers on purpose. I'm going to sound like a fool. Like, just talking about, gingers, who the fuck is ginger? Genghis, like, what I find interesting is Oggy had Genghis Khan down as well.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah, Oggy had Genghis Khan as well.
Reading it as well, when it came to 2/3 of the world,
Genghis, it wasn't 2/3.
Oh no, not that he conquered, but
the second
ancestry.
The second largest empire behind the British, only by a few miles, whatever. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not obviously not like from here to the shops. It's not that close, but he's the second largest empire. However, he did that. It's the longest whole empire, if you know what I mean.
In terms of how beginning to
the British Empire is it's England, Canada, India, and then all the little bits of Ireland.
Yeah.
So it's everywhere.
It's broken apart.
It was just one big empire. It was amazing, but he accomplished an awful lot. He was born. He was raised in the steppe, and the steppe was basically just this barren wasteland. And
it was just part of a tribe.
Tribes would fight tribes, and his dad was the tribe leader, and he was killed, and I'm pretty sure. And then Genghis Khan was pulled away, whatever.
The fact that he turned a bunch of tribes into the greatest empire in the world, that shows fantastic leadership.
What about in terms of his personality though? Because I just imagine him as like a pillaging, brutalising.
Yeah, I don't know much about him.
Is there much about him in terms of his demeanour or his personality or his?
No, I don't. He was very ruthless. Like, he took wives, which was obviously mean he just kidnapped a woman and raped them. But no, I don't think his personality was too great considering where he came from, obviously. But the good thing about the Mongolian Empire, which is they saw that what's it called? You can't control religion and people's beliefs. So he said, you can believe what you want as long as you follow me, which I think is something that definitely a great thing.
I know a lot of people would change to Buddhism, to Christianity, even to Islam. I think at one point. I don't know if that was around just yet, but and he was fine with that.
Islam was definitely around when Genghis Khan was there.
When was Genghis Khan?
I can't quite say, but I believe it was about 1200.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe 800. I'll have a quick look at Google.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
Genghis Khan.
I think Alexander the Great did something similar. I remember hearing.
Yeah,
with his empire, he started moving people from one part of the empire to the other, but he didn't get to do it properly. But that was his plan because he wanted to have an integrated empire.
Yeah,
so he relocated people from the far east of his empire to the European side of it. And
I was initially right with 1200. Yeah, 1162 to 1227. But also, Genghis Khan, there's so many stories I could say, but the one that is the epitome of Genghis Khan to me is there was a caravan that was robbed by a bunch of people, whatever, and it was Genghis's caravan, and he said to the local city, he sent a message of, you will not be harmed if you send the people that did this to me. And they basically told him to fuck off, what the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And this obviously made Genghis Khan really mad, so he stormed the castle, and how they'd storm the castle is they'd take out local places around the castle, and he'd herd them like cattle, into the castle, and then they'd go into their horses because obviously they're primarily on horseback archers.
Yeah.
Like a Mongolian could shoot a eagle out of the sky on horseback. That's how good they were great in the field, but obviously in close quarters they weren't as good. But so yeah, they took over the castle. Then Genghis Khan poured molten silver in this man's eyes and ears, and then he diverted a river across the man's hometown, across his birthplace. So he literally wiped this person's hometown, but off the map.
Alright, I'm vetoing Genghis. if we oversalt his soup,
honestly, if one of us refers to him as Gingis, that's
no, I don't know now.
History.
What's the right one? Gingis or Genghis? Yeah. Or Gajinghis?
Well, what if it's wrong completely?
What if his name was Bill? What his name was like Paul?
Yeah, but before his death was like, don't let anyone call me Genghis Khan.
Yeah, and
and for the whole of history,
and that happens. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So
we've got it wrong.
It's quite a.
The thing that fascinates me about Alexander the Great, on the other hand, is the fact that a vast empire full of Spartans, Athenians, people that we had been fighting like among each other for ages, and he effectively united them. Well, it's his father that united them, and he managed to keep that peace as he led his people across half the world. So it's like from Egypt to India that he had effectively as his region.
Wasn't he like 24 when he was like doing this? Like,
yeah,
didn't he start when he was like 20?
Yeah, so he was.
Or was he even younger?
He ruled for 13 years, and died at the age of 32.
Fucking hell.
So, and like in that time, he'd obviously been taught by Aristotle as well. So
yeah, that's nice.
I feel
like
that. As much as I love Genghis Khan, because he was very helpful with a lot of cultures, in a lot of ways. Past his atrocities, but I feel like I'm leaning more towards having Alexander the Great here, because he seems like he'd be more into society.
I think wasn't he? Isn't there a story where I can't remember, but isn't there a story where I think Aristotle was talking to him and he gave him a riddle? I can't remember if this is Alexander. I'm not sure. Right, but he had a story where it was like there was a knot and it was tied in a certain way, and he was like, "How would you untie this knot?" He was asked about that, like, "How would you separate it? You've only got what you can only move. You can only like do one thing." I can't remember, and I think Alexander just cut it in half. He got his sword and cut it in half.
Thinking outside of the box.
Yeah, he cut it in half, and it was like, I think it's like a brilliant story because Aristotle's obviously a deep thinker, philosopher. He's influenced so much of history. And Alexander's an intelligent man, but he's also a warrior. He's a fighter, and that's a legitimate
and a leader as well.
Yeah, and that's a legitimate solution to the problem. So
instead of adding Alexander to the list, I think removing Genghis from the whole list would be beneficial, or not beneficial. But do you think that would be the right way to go about it?
So the people we've removed so far completely is Trey Parker and Genghis Khan. Okay.
Yeah. And Master Chief.
Sorry, what was that?
And Master Chief.
I didn't quite hear that, Charles.
And Master Chief.
I feel like we should argue that Master Chief should come. The thing with Master Chief is he's really good, but you're right, Charles. He is great, but he's not got that much personality. The thing with Master Chief is really interesting because obviously he was kidnapped as a child, and went through this massive regime, and became a super soldier that saved humanity. But at the end of the day, you are correct.
He is being chased at the moment, so I think it'd be hard to
track down.
Yeah,
you are correct though. Yeah, he doesn't have that much personality, so we should veto Master Chief.
I like how you rephrased it.
I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, and also you're right. Without Cortana, Milo is probably not as witty. Like it's Master Chief and Cortana. You don't really want Master Chief on his own, and you're right with that one as well. So yeah, we should be
same.
Okay, and I guess Joe made a good point earlier when he said maybe too many philosophers with Dostoevsky.
Yeah,
and there's two philosophers here. I think it's two. But
I think we'll take off. We've got Camus. Are we taking off Camus and Kierkegaard?
I think that as much as that's a break my soul.
I know. Yeah, I was just thinking that as well. I'm considering they're all similar schools of thought.
Yeah,
They are very similar.
I know Camus took his ideas from Kierkegaard and Dostoevsky, and I'm sure Kierkegaard took ideas from Dostoevsky as well. Is that the right way around?
I can't remember chronology. They were very similar. I can't remember who came first. One other thing I would mention about Kierkegaard, which I thought was pretty interesting, is at the time he wrote in his native language. At the time, people would write in like French or Italian. Not Italian. I meant Latin. And so his influence was quite small for quite a while because he was very individual. So he wrote in it because he wanted everybody in his country to be able to read his book. He wasn't concerned about just like the elite.
I think it was Geoffrey Chaucer did the exact same.
He did the same. Like I think before Chaucer, English was like a barbaric language.
Yeah, it was,
like
all in French.
Yeah,
in French
Fuck
ruled.
the French, man.
Fuck the French.
Oh. If you're
And,
French.
and fuck you, Albert Camus.
If you're France and you want to sponsor us. National Board of Tourism. But yeah, let's take off Camus and Kierkegaard.
Yeah.
I think we both love them too much. It
But
would take away from the other guests.
We've got the time machine anyway for whenever he wants.
Yeah, I'm just going to pluck in our history, just talk to him, and he's like, what is going on? I'm just going to throw him back.
So we'll walk into his room like the ghost of Christmas past. Ooh.
So to clarify, to recap, we've got Martin Scorsese,
Fyodor Dostoevsky.
Fyodor Dostoevsky, and Bill Hicks going in. And then left to pick from, we had Keith Moon, George Best, Heath Ledger, Justin Broderick, Satoshi Kon, Dave Chappelle, Henry Rollins, Alexander Great, Bill Murray, and Stan Laurel. And I'm going to argue my case for one of them, which is Keith Moon.
Right.
I feel like he would take the dinner party to a whole nother level because, you know, he might not have the things to say, like, as in from the philosophical things, but the things he will say will be bloody funny.
His like you watch interviews on him, and he's just a joker who enjoys life to the fullest, and that's something that like always fascinates me. Just someone that enjoys life.
Because I've seen his performance and stuff, but I haven't seen too much of him personally, so I don't quite know what he's like. So
he's mental, but I feel like he's a good mental.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He would be hilarious. Like he honestly, just like the amount of stories that he'd have as well, and he'd bring cocaine to the party.
So I'm just gonna make the decision to put.
I can tell you're feeling strong about it.
Yeah, and
I don't have a reason against him.
On my list, I can remove Bill Murray as well if that was the case. I'd rather have.
I feel like looking at the list, we have a philosopher, we have a filmmaker, we have a comedian. I feel like we can have repeats of those type of films, but I feel like it'll be good to have a musician in it. And I am arguing for Keith Moon over Justin Broderick just purely because of Keith Moon also came from that time in the 60s.
We'll put him down. Because I love Justin Broderick, but granted, in terms of a party situation, if you're having a dinner party, Keith Moon would probably be in terms of what we're talking about.
And again, someone died way too young as well.
Yeah.
So mine Scorsese's left again with loads of corpses.
Yeah. If he makes a film about corpses, we know that this actually happened.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh, I feel like Adam Sandler would be in it.
Fuck Adam Sandler.
Again, Adam Sandler, if you'd like to sponsor this.
If you'd like to put us in your next movie, our voices.
I'm okay. I'll politely decline that.
Joe, don't you want the opportunity of working with? That could be good for your CV.
It could be, but I feel like it would be also at the same time
directed Adam
detrimental.
Yeah, you would be blacklisted.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler knocks on the door. Is like, I'd like to cut you a jib, Joe. You're directing my next movie about elephants dancing on themselves. with me as the elephant.
That's a legitimate idea that Adam Sandler would come out with as well.
Hello. Just because it's a bad movie doesn't mean it's you're going to be blacklisted. Like, epic movie, terrible film. Jason Freeberg and Aaron Seltzer are still working today. They're still doing stuff. They're still in Hollywood. Like, you know, they're on like disaster movie, epic movies, but they did scary movie, and they're still currently working
somehow.
So you can.
And Adam Sandler's still working as well.
Well, I don't know if I'd call that working. I'd call that a nightmare he hasn't woken up from.
He's got his new film coming out, a Netflix original, and Yeah, it looks like an Adam Sandler film, but the cast is great.
Really?
Like, I think he just... I quite like Adam Sandler, not for his films, but... Because he's at the point where he can just have fun, and he's just doing it
I
for
think that's
himself.
interesting. Like, I remember hearing that about. I think I remember hearing about Robert De Niro as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like-
Robert De Niro's gone on big slump in movies. He's
Yeah.
not done I can't think of a recent film he's done in the 2000s that was
and
worthwhile.
I think I remember somebody talking to him about it or something, and I can't remember if it was him, but I think somebody was saying like, well, I made all these great films, made no money from it. I've made them. Why can't I just make money?
Yeah.
Have fun? Like,
Yeah.
I've done that. Like what?
Put in his graph.
Yeah, he's done it. He's created it. He's you know, Raging Bull. He actually trained as a boxer. I think he had a few fights to get himself ready. Like, he's done the hard work, and
Yeah.
it's why can't
Well,
I just make shitty movies?
Looking at his profile on IMDb, like American Hustle was a great film. Silver Linings Playbook, again, another great film, but they're both supporting roles. I don't feel like, you know, again, he was in Meet the Fockers, but when was that? Or Meet the Parents? That was
a good
late
time ago.
90s.
Yeah, that was a good time ago. now.
2000. Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers were probably the last good films that he starred in
Yeah.
as the main lead.
Yeah.
I know he wasn't even the lead when Ben Stiller was, but he was a key part in that film.
Right, in order to make sure we're not going a little bit too over time, 'cause I
Yeah.
think we've already talked to it for like 4 hours.
We have, yeah.
So if he's not going to be on the list, let's move away from that. Is there anyone, Miles, on your list? 'Cause I think we've moved a couple from mine and Joe's list that you either would really argue for or would be less inclined to keep on the list.
I'm thinking, since we've got Scorsese, we could probably take a Satoshi Kon.
Okay.
He's another filmmaker. I don't think he's going to offer anything significantly different. The only thing I've got, I think, looking at it, I think we've pretty much got funny people left.
Yeah,
And I think
no,
it's
we
thinking
have.
about the kinds, what sort of funny person we want.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle and Henry Rollins, I'd be happy with both of them.
I feel like of the funny people, so we've got Dave Chappelle, Stan Laurel, Bill Murray. Does Henry Rollins consider himself a comedian? I don't see him do any comic work. Really.
It's sort of comedy.
Yeah.
It's not. It's more kind of like stand up.
But pure comedians, I feel like those are the three.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I feel like, you see, I always look towards the makers of the things. Like Bill Murray, he's a very funny guy and he's the actor, but he's responsible for his roles.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like, you know, he may have had writing roles in the films, but to truly get Bill Murray's comedy, you'd have to look more into the writers of the films, the writers of
Okay.
Groundhog Day. But I feel like Dave Chappelle,
Yeah.
he's a writer of comedy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is.
He's a lot more involved with his own work.
Yeah.
Everything was
Yeah.
his work.
Yeah. So I feel like, and obviously Stan Laurel was great as well, but Stan Laurel, his character, I'm not saying he's a one-trick pony because Stan Laurel was a great character, but I feel like Dave Chappelle had a lot more. He has a lot more diversity, and a lot more
Yeah.
edge.
And,
So
just like with Trey Parker.
I was gonna say that with
Matt Stone with
yeah.
Stan Laurel. It's
Yeah,
Laurel and
got a lot of
Hardy.
work there.
It
That's
is, yeah.
that's what's well known. So
Yeah.
So we put Dave
I'll-
Chappelle in then, and then get rid of the other comics.
yeah.
So now,
We are left with
So
Alexander the Great,
great.
Henry Rollins,
Yeah.
Justin Broderick,
Yeah.
Heath Ledger,
Yeah.
and George Best.
Yeah.
I think we can remove George Best only because I think that would be a very similar one to Keith Moon.
I was gonna say.
I
that
agree.
as
I
well.
was like, and I know they're different areas, but
I was thinking in terms of what they bring, very similar.
That's
Yeah.
it.
yeah. Now I feel like I know Justin Broderick and Henry Rollins are there, but
I was gonna say,
I feel like it's between Heath Ledger and Alexander the Great for me.
in terms of bringing something different, I'd agree with that. Yeah. I think in terms of bringing something different, bringing a different perspective, and like rounding it off,
yeah,
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
like I really want to.
Let's scratch off whoever's left and just discuss Alexander the Great versus Heath Ledger.
Yeah, I feel like Heath Ledger, obviously an amazing actor, and even though I said earlier, it's not, with Bill Murray and a lot of the writers' work, I feel like Heath Ledger was directly responsible for the Joker. He was directly responsible for how perfectly he was portrayed. And to be honest, the only reason I have Heath Ledger here is for the Joker. I don't feel like I have him here for him in Knight's Tale.
Yeah.
Or Brokeback Mountain. I feel like it's purely for that role, and he nailed it. And then on the other hand, Alexander the Great, he's someone it'd be so interesting to have there, because what year was he for? Was it 300 BC?
Yeah, that was roughly that time.
Roughly that time. You know, that it's completely something completely different. It'd be so interesting to hear about his stories, and he's such a smart but aggressively brilliant person.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be very interesting. So
To listen to those stories from Aristotle, I think, like, for me, Aristotle was on the list for me, and then it was Alexander the Great accomplished all this and was taught by Aristotle. So for me, it's a really difficult one as well. If I'm looking at the list of people that are on there, Martin Scorsese was in films, and I don't see anyone that brings the same brand as
historical weight, the same sort of experience, the same sort of
personality as well. Because there's no, like, for me, Alexander the Great can be seen as one of the great leaders.
Yeah.
And although they're all leaders in their own way, I don't think there's someone that led a group of people in the same way that Alexander did.
He's got the party trick, man. He would just cut the rope. He would just whip out the sword, cut things. He wants to slice a cake. Alexander does.
And you know what?
Cut that cake with his sword.
Say one of us forgets a steak knife. How are we going to cut the steak?
He's going to take out the sword.
Exactly.
The cutting skills.
So the list, and I think we all agreed that Alexander the Great. It is Martin Scorsese, Fyodor Dostoevsky, Bill Hicks, Keith Moon, Dave Chappelle, and Alexander the Great.
Woo!
I feel like that's quite a good list.
That's pretty good.
We've got a few alcoholics in there, which is always handy. No one is that is going to murder anyone. I feel like Alexander the Great.
I think he's got a handle on himself.
He's fine.
That's always a good sign.
And it's going to be a funny party as well. You know, Bill Hicks and Dave Chappelle there, Keith Moon obviously.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be interesting.
I like it.
I think that'll be a hilarious dinner party, and I'm looking forward to hearing all the stories.
And actually, I can't remember what made me think about it. Like, I feel like maybe you should do an episode where you talk about what fictional character you'd have.
Because I think we before we did this, we had a discussion about whether we were going to have fictional characters.
It's a unique brand of thing, and I think if we do, I think we'd like you on the podcast again, Joe.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to be here.
Nice having you on. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of someone to be on the fictional character.
I was going to say, I don't want
all the people that I picked were historical or in the future, so I feel like it'll be hard to pick someone that's fictional.
Of course, Joe, you were always a big Dragon Ball Z fan, and I'm sure everyone was.
Of course, yeah. We could find fictional characters.
Randy Marsh.
I'll text Oggy, get him to make up a fictional, like a Roger Rabbit machine. That turns us into cartoons.
Yeah. Oggy is the genius here. So.
Next time we do a dinner party, we'll all be 2D.
I like it.
Which will experience.
Fantastic. So that is the end of the podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you for replacing Oggy on this one, Joe. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Short notice brought a lot to the table. Brought a lot of psychopaths and
my list is always either going to come to the psychopaths, alcoholics or porn stars, but I'll try and take them off of it.
Do you know, actually, just a last word on porn. There were a few actually I were thinking of bringing, because a lot of people in the adult industry are, when you actually listen to interviews and hear them speak, they've got very interesting perspectives on life. A lot of them, and it's a weird. Like, the way these people get stigmatised and the way these people get put in a bracket leads to some very interesting.
Milo's looking at this too deeply. I'm thinking of.
I know you both are.
I'm looking at it quite deeply as well.
All right. I tried to. I'm standing by what I said.
I like it. It was apparently it's one of, like, porn stars have the most safe sex known to man, because they.
I think it's coming from a.
No. The thing is, you're the like. Brazzers and certain porn brands, however, porn is not a safe place.
Oh, yeah.
Porn
Oh, yeah,
stars
yeah,
are
yeah.
porn. Like they're not gonna be like, hey, you little 18-year-old with daddy issues, come over here. Hey,
And
wear this condom.
No, but I think
on E-Fuck, there's some dirty.
Yeah.
dirty shit.
What I would say, what I would say just to change the concept before we edit, is that a lot of porn is based on the fact that there's a lot of emotionally disturbed people and putting them in environments where they're going to make quick money, and it's all disturbing. And it's about
It is very disturbing.
But what I would say is there's another side to it where for a lot of people they view it as sexual exploration, and sex is a big part of our society. It's a big part of how we think. It's the same way we explore war in fiction, the same way we explore philosophy, we explore romance, we explore comedy. Like, sex is an important part of our life and how we view the world.
Porn is the oldest medium. I bet.
I think it's
cave drawings.
Do you know why? Do you know why video? Basically in the 80s.
Just reminds me of South
In the
Park.
80s, in the 80s, there was a war between different formats, and it was between video and Betamax. The reason it's kind of like, you know, when we had Blu-ray and HD, and Blu-ray one, VHS won because they made porn.
Yeah, like
Betamax didn't.
Serious?
That's why they won.
I remember I saw a fact a few weeks ago that the internet is about 1/5 of the internet. The websites on the internet are porn.
Yeah, so I think it's easy to kind of marginalise porn stars, but I think they play a big role in our society, a big role in what we do.
I'm
and
sure we can do this on another podcast.
We are going way off topic. We should have stopped. We've gone way off topic.
Right, guys.
It's been a good chat.
Yeah, thank you from Moose, Milo, and Joe. We'll have Joe on again.
Sorry, Joe the King Mulvihill.
Have Joe on there again. If you have any thoughts as to our podcast, if you have anyone that you think would be on the list that would be better or more fun, or if we've missed reasons as to putting them on the list, if you're sadist and would think torturing someone would be the best way forward, then let us know.
Now I've been on the podcast, am I going to get hate mail? Because I'd quite like to be at the point of fame. I know it's only quite little where I get hate mail.
I promise you, Joe, what we can do is any hate mail we receive, we'll send right to you.
Yeah.
We'll forward it right to you.
To be fair, I'm sure Oggy will send you some hate mail about replacing me.
Yeah. Alright, brilliant. Well, yeah, that's it.
Thanks, guys.
Talk to you guys later.
I'm for a wank.
Wonderful.